Good evening. I'm Ted Clifton with TC Legend Homes. I've been building net zero houses for 7 years now. In that time, I've come to realize that building net zero energy can be affordable for everyone. And not only that, it can actually make a home more affordable, especially for lower income families.
So if you know Ted, he built in 30 seconds applause right there so that we can get in our 10 minutes. Okay, I'm Thad and I work for Ted. All right, so let's get affordable out of the way here. We're not here tonight to talk about building necessarily low-income housing or a certain definition of affordable housing. We're talking about how building net zero or building net positive can actually make the home you buy more affordable. So we're using a Department of, and that's not to say that it can't be used for those things. We're using the Department of Housing and Urban Development definition of affordable. And that just says your mortgage payment plus your utilities should be equal to or less than 30% of your pay. So the idea is if you can keep this formula, you can maintain your quality of life.
Hey, Thad, what do you mean by quality of life?
Oh, next slide.
Oh, so you're talking about food, clothes, healthcare, education, transportation, and bicycles?
Well, for me, that's fun. And it could be something different for everybody else here, but it's an important thing in that quality of life equation. Unfortunately, the sad fact is in Bellingham, where we live, more than 40% of folks are taking essentially from these things to afford their home because they're spending more than that 30% on their house and utilities.
Well, it doesn't have to be that way. Let me tell you about the next slide. Let me tell you about Michael the brewer and Suneeta the teacher. They wanted an earth-friendly home in a neighborhood close to town where they could have a small farm. After seeing my home, they knew they wanted a net zero energy house. And they had many challenges finding the right property. After looking all over the outskirts of Bellingham, they finally found the right place for them. The property was a little bit more expensive than they had planned on, so we knew we had to design a very affordable house. We actually ended up adding in the design phase about 50% more solar panels than were necessary for a net zero home, so they could also power their new electric car.
All right.
Making their house more affordable.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was my cue. All right, so how do we actually make that work? So we took a notional income of $69,900. That's pretty close to the Washington State median family income. There's a median household income, there's an area median income, there's a median family income, but it doesn't really matter what number we use. We're gonna show you how if you go net zero, if you go net zero or net positive, you can increase the money you have available for your mortgage payment while preserving your quality of life over here. So let's say if we can go net zero and we can affect, this is $165 for utilities. That's the average in Bellingham. 125 of that is for gas and electricity. So if we can eliminate that, if we can go net zero, we can move that $125 over there to your mortgage payment. And you can go with a net zero home. I cheated. We have more than 10 slides because it's animated. It's all on one slide. But they'll probably catch that next year. But basically now that $125 is moved over, and now you have $1,700 available for mortgage payment, and now you can afford this much more home. So if you take it a step further and you build net positive, I want you to keep your eye on this gas can right here, because this is in your quality of life side right now because it's for transportation. But you don't need that gas money anymore if you build net positive and you have an electric car like Michael and Suneeta do. So that gas can is going to disappear. We can take money from here toward a mortgage payment, and now we can have an $1,800 mortgage payment and we can afford a $417,000 home. So with that same income, and there's some stuff built in here. We did account for the increase in taxes as the home prices go up, and the same down payment across the board. So the net zero, the idea is net zero building net positive can actually make it affordable.
But
There's always a but.
there's an underlying assumption.
And what's that?
Well, that you can build a net zero house for the same price as an old-fashioned house. It's not apples to apples. To build a net zero house, we use totally different materials and techniques, like SIPs, in which factory-made panels of OSB and EPS foam are sandwiched together to form walls. Value-engineered designs and cost shifting make building a much higher performance home still cost equivalent.
So it's apples to apples in the sense that we believe we can build a similar home with the things that you desire for a similar cost.
Yeah.
How do we do that?
So our key to keeping costs low is lean design. So modern architecture, farmhouse style, urban industrial fit perfectly with this. Every corner in an exterior wall or roof costs thousands and wastes a lot of energy. Also, we have super low overhead.
Is that why I have to do my office work in a trailer?
Yeah. Small work vans and a tiny mobile office help keep costs down for customers and help us afford health insurance and retirement accounts for our crew. So the tiny office also gives us a place to show customers some of our materials and techniques. We also use a lot of in-house expertise. We learned early on that it pays to learn new techniques like SIPs, insulated concrete forms, installing our own heat pumps for heating, cooling, and domestic hot water, and heat recovery ventilators to keep indoor air quality healthy and comfortable.
So that fancy Gantt chart looking thing over there, it kind of just looks like we're trying to say we'll be as efficient with our time and our resources as possible.
Yeah, but it's more than just that. We hire out many of the trades where we're not as cost competitive, and we manage a great team of suppliers and subcontractors that give us quality, consistent efficiency, and a good price.
So how did all this work out for Michael and Suneeta?
Well, they were able to afford the house that they wanted. We built their house for $218,000. They bought their land for $148,000 for a total of $366,000 with no utility bills and plenty of power for their electric car, which preserves their quality of life for them.
And their goats? Thank you. If you're interested in Michael and Suneeta's house, they recently had a showcase of homes, and we have lots of flyers left over here, and we'll have them at the door. Thanks.